We're so happy that everyone's with us today. The theme that we've picked for today's readings is going to be the theme of belonging. And each of us have a different excerpt from the different things that we have written. And it's amazing how the whole idea of belonging is so important in our lives from the time we're born until the time we leave this planet. So today is all about belonging. So we're thrilled that you're with us. And may I say, before we even begin, please, if anything touches you when you're listening to this podcast and anything about belonging moves you, please absolutely make a comment so that we can reach out and connect. Okay. So, Steph, you want to jump in?
Sure. So my passage this week is from Book Two, A Bond of Blood, Stone, and Fire, and that will be releasing in July. And the conditions surrounding this is my main character's best friend is named Misty, and she was also brought through the portal into this land, Algoria, and she's really having a hard time finding her sense of belonging here because she isn't Fae, so she doesn't have any power. She's just a plain old human in a fantasy world. I'm actually going to hold my paper up, so okay. You're in a new world of possibilities, Misty, Lizzie said. Don't let Dean be your only prospect. Maybe there's someone here who will give you what you want. It's easy for you, Misty said, tracing her finger along the black Numite wall. You're Fae. You've been Fae. You didn't know it, but that's who you always were. Being a Fae is normal for you. But I'm just a human, and I don't know anything about being a Fae or being with a Fae. Misty, the elven Fae aren't that dissimilar to humans. I've learned that. Sure, there are some creatures here, like the Grenum or hobgoblins, and creatures like that are different, but there are physical differences. I know that, Lizzie answered carefully. Now that she'd seen them, she couldn't unsee them. It was more than the pointed ears and the glowing skin. There were differences in the eyes, how they changed colors in certain situations. And I don't have any powers, Misty said. Why would someone who had them want to be with a human? Not every elven fae has incredible powers. I just, I feel so small in a big world, and the only safe space I have right now is Dean. Sure, Lizzie nodded. You don't have to justify having feelings for Dean, Misty, but as far as feeling small, from what I hear, you've been doing a lot of work at the apothecary, haven't you? I have, Misty said. Do you like what you do? I enjoy it very much, actually, Misty replied. I think I enjoy it more than anything I did back on Earth. Mixing herbs, creating tinctures, helping elven fae. You're making a huge difference here. I see where you're going with this, Misty said, but nothing, Lizzie said. You do have a place here. You matter a lot to Faye here. And I suspect the more work you do, the more you'll matter. And you never know who you're going to meet, who you might fall in love with. It's just going to take you some time. Lizzie put her hand on Misty's shoulder. I'm not saying you and Dean can't have a happy love affair or a great relationship. I'm just saying if it doesn't work out, you don't need to feel alone. You've grown some roots here, and who knows what possibilities are in store for you. Sorry for looking down the whole time.
And why did you select this excerpt?
I think I wanted to just show that Misty didn't realize that she actually was creating this or she was putting down roots in this world by doing this work. She was helping
Mhm.
people and she was making a difference. And she kept thinking about all the things that made her different and all the things that kept her from feeling like she belonged here without realizing all the things that made her belong because of the work she was doing.
Mhm.
That's
I
beautiful.
was wondering how you came up with it felt so real, and obviously this Fae world does not exist. How did you come up with like such realistic feelings for this passage for something that is completely fictitious?
That's a good question. I was gonna come back with an answer and say because I am Faye and I understand. But I think because this, to me, Lizzie and Misty's relationship is it feels natural. Their friendship feels natural. And when they communicate with each other, this idea like of comforting your friend when they just can't see the best parts of themselves or the goodness that they're doing or whatever, like that, I think is what I clung to. It's almost like the situation itself may not have been real, but the interaction of two friends,
Mm,
and one friend comforting another and making that friend feel good about the situation is real.
hmm Very much.
Excellent.
hmm And that she belonged.
Mm-hmm.
hmm Yeah, it was well written.
Thanks.
Very well written. Okay. Jackie, you want to go next or?
If you want to go, or should I
Yeah.
go? Yeah, I'll go. Okay.
Oh.
So this passage comes from House of Unwound Thread, and it's the prologue, so there's no backstory to give. It's the prologue, which is entitled The First Stitch. In the beginning, there was only darkness, but it wasn't the way they described it on those ancient scrolls, formless and void and filled with nothing. It was a thick, palpable thing, profound, sinewy, and real. You could get tangled in its knotted threads that spiraled ceaselessly into eternity. When the light came, it wasn't how they'd written it either. It was more of a waxing and a waning between the shade and the shadows. It began like a flicker, weaving through the countless layers of obscurity, nearly smothered by those masses of sinewy fibers, before finally catching, smoldering, freeing. They say when the grand architect shaped the heavens and the earth, he spoke all things into being, that each creation came into existence simply because he had given it a name, as if the essence of something could be contained by the word chosen for it, as if everything it was or ever could be had been stitched into it from the precise moment it had been dreamt up, as if a name could define a destiny. That's what made the whole thing so strange. When the filaments of darkness had finally unraveled, moldering in burning heaps, and the light had seeped in, blurry and wavering amid the billows of smoke, only one thing remained: me, a girl without a name. That's it.
Whoa.
So
Powerful. Mhm.
this passage I was actually torn about when I was writing it because I love it. But I was told it could be a total turnoff for people because it's like so cryptic.
Oh.
Um, but I kind of thought that that's why I love it because it's just so you have no no idea what's going on. It's kind of like a diversion of the creation stories, a
Hmm.
kind of mixed different creation stories. And and I thought that that was a good place to start for a story about a girl that wakes up with no memory of who she is.
Hmm. And I mean, if you read the rest of the book, it's like it's so fitting for the book. And it gives the book this dark, ominous, gothic-y feel, which is what you were going for. And I just think it's so descriptive. It makes you really think about it. Like, oh yeah, like this, it's a another like creation story, right? And um, yeah, I think it's just so cool. I love it. I love that. And why did you choose this for belonging specifically?
Um, because this entire story is actually about a girl trying to find her space, find the place that she belongs. And in this particular excerpt, we see that the idea of having that name is the one thing that she's clutching to. That's the thing that she needs to make her belong. And I think that if you take a step back and look at every human being on the planet, we all, not necessarily a name, but we all have one thing that we're like, if I just have that, like that's what
Mhm.
I need, and then I'll fit in. And
Mhm.
I think that that's why I actually had chosen two different excerpts that I couldn't choose between for today. And last minute, I was like, I want to change because it just popped in my head like this, even though it's not so targeted on belonging, I feel like it represents the idea of belonging so much more than the other passages I had chosen
Mhm.
originally.
I like the line where say it began like a flicker.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's powerful, and then weaving.
Mm-hmm.
And the use of sinewy, which I can't say, but
Yeah. Mhm.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I'll jump into mine, and mine is part of a young adult novel that I've been working on for a while, but and this is about a young 12-year-old girl who is having an identity crisis, and something very important has happened in her life in this passage. All I can tell you is I don't belong here. I certainly don't belong living here now. It was only because of Nana Cole that I didn't run away. She'd caught me, more than once, packing things in a pillowcase, a trash bag, or an old oversized pocketbook I'd found in the back of Mom's closet. Have you remembered to pack hugs? Nana Cole said softly, so as not to alert my mom of my getaway plans. Hugs was the stuffed turtle Nana Cole had put into my crib when Mom had brought me home from the hospital 12 years ago. I've slept with Hugs every night since. The thought of not having made him my first priority when packing took me off guard. Nana tiptoed across my room, making sure to avoid the floorboards she knew would emit a creaking and cracking sound. Sitting on the floor beside me, she gently placed Hugs in my arms while simultaneously embracing me in hers. These loose floorboards hold so many secrets, she whispered close to my ear. Nana Cole always understood. She was different from my mom in so many ways. Ruthie, my mother said in her authoritative voice, stop daydreaming. I need your help clearing off the table before everyone arrives. I stood up, allowing a very audible sigh of annoyance fill the room. I pushed the sympathy cards across the table. Watch out for those cards, young lady, my mother scolded. They're all I have left. You yell at me for everything. What would you have said if I had put my cereal bowl down on top of them? Don't give me any of your back talk, Ruthie. I don't have the energy to fight you today, my mother replied. I never believed in my mother's energy jargon. She was always saying that people needed the right kind of energy to talk, the right kind of energy to clean, even the right kind of energy to pray. However, one thing I know for sure is that Nana Cole died last week, and I have a strange feeling inside that I don't understand. I wonder if it does have anything to do with energy and feeling that I don't belong here in this house without Nana Cole.
Hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. That's really powerful.
Yeah, so the struggle that she feels inside herself and her projection onto her mother, her feelings
Mm-hmm.
of the loss of her grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
because her grandmother plays a very important role in her life when her mother's going on through her own struggles.
Mm-hmm.
So Ruthie, Nana Cole was the belonging, was the person that tethered her and grounded her throughout everything.
Mm.
So, yeah.
It's almost like and the mother is also grieving, but she doesn't know how to communicate with Ruthie.
Mm-hmm.
So it just comes out in, that, anger or whatever it is that she's
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
displaying.
projection. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much
Yeah,
so.
that struck me too. I felt even the second time reading it, that I kind of, maybe just because we chose belonging as a theme. I mean, obviously Ruthie's belonging is forefront, but
Mm-hmm.
at the second time I read it, I thought about the mom and how she might be feeling, because she obviously realizes that her daughter had this relationship with the grandmom and now she can't do anything about it, and how she probably feels not having her own place in her own house as well. I felt it was very, very multifaceted and very powerful for different ways.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the whole idea of the multi-generational of women and trying to cope with different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I can say about that is like from my own experience, because ever since my grandmother passed away, having lost both of my grandmothers, actually, I lost them within a few months of each other in 2021. And then having lost my mom in 2018, the biggest thing in Anna, I've said this to you so many times, is this feeling of not belonging anymore. Because there's like this, I mean, obviously, you guys, we have a special bond, but I mean, from your women ancestors, whatever you want to call
Mm-hmm.
it, there's this special bond, and it feels like it's severed when somebody leaves. And you feel kind of lost. And it doesn't mean that you don't have other people in your life that love you or care about you, but there's this special connection. And I just was lucky enough to have that connection with my mother too. I know some people don't have that, but I had it with my mother and my grandmother. And unfortunately, my one grandmother had dementia, so I think I would have had it with her as well. But so that's just it, that kind of hit me pretty hard, just thinking about the loss of that and feeling like you kind of feel
Mm-hmm.
like you don't belong. And for me, and maybe this is TMI, but like I just don't feel like I've ever recovered that feeling of belonging,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is what I think Ruthie's realizing, but she
Hmm.
doesn't know, she doesn't understand it, but
Yeah.
she knows she feels it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think well, certainly as the story goes on, that's what's really happening. Sometimes we go through things that we feel so strongly, but we don't understand what the feeling is trying to tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes our decision making is skewed because of that.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
So again, I reiterate for the people that are listening today, if you've had an experience that's connected to belonging, please reach out, go to the comments, share it with us, and we'd be honored to connect with you.
Yes.
Mhm.
And please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. We really appreciate
Yeah.
it, guys. Thank you so much.